We've already been encouraged and instructed, and I just want to ask if you would join me in giving a real round of applause to this wonderful Ford family, the whole Ford family who's put this together for us today. This year, Eagle Forum has filed amicus briefs supporting marriage before the Alabama Supreme Court and the U.S. Supreme Court, but for years we've been standing for the family as God ordained it, long before most people had any idea that the family was under siege. Eagle Forum's 10-year battle that began in 1972 stopped the so-called Equal Rights Amendment to the U.S. Constitution and prevented legalization of same-sex marriage way back then, against seemingly impossible odds. And Phyllis Schlafly, in her book, The Supremacist, wrote on the redefining of marriage. What the homosexual agenda demands is public approval and government support for lifestyles others believe immoral and unhealthy. That is the minority forcing the majority to license what it disapproves. It would force the rest of us to accept a public judgment that personal desire outweighs the value of marriage and the need for mothers and fathers. And where does that personal desire end, I would ask? You know, already special interest organizations such as GLSEN write about their plans to use the Common Core State Standards Initiative to incorporate lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, history, themes, and people into public school curriculum. National Common Core assessments that can measure attitudes are ripe for anti-marriage indoctrination. Common Core readings recommended in Alabama textbooks contain graphic portrayal of all kinds of immoral behavior. And next Thursday, the Alabama State Board of Education will vote on a counseling model in which children are to be taught to condone alternative lifestyles as early as kindergarten. One of the program's goals is to measure and change attitudes, values, and beliefs. Now, aren't those the purview of the family? Look at alabamaeagleforum.org to learn more about it, and you'll see a link to this model, and you'll also see what you can do about it, and I would encourage you to sign up for our alerts so you'll be informed on other issues in a timely manner. It's not just theologians, but historians and sociologists tell us that public acceptance of homosexuality is the final stage in the destruction of a nation from within. Sociologist J.D. Unwin in 1934 identified 86 such cultures. Historian Arnold Toynbee listed 26 civilizations. Gibbons famously pointed to the fall of Rome. James Dobson's May newsletter, which is on our website, concludes, if marriage is to be reconfigured in the law, the family that has existed since antiquity will likely crumble, presaging the fall of Western civilization itself. This is a time, he said, for concerted prayer, divine wisdom, and greater courage than we've ever been called upon to exercise, unquote. Christians may have to choose between their conscience and their jobs as they decide whether to obey God or a government that has defied natural law with the stroke of a pen. Well, what do we do? Harvard sociologist Pitram Sorokin, in The American Sex Revolution, predicted the sex anarchy, as he called it, that we see today. But such social disorder, he said, presents a great opportunity and the great challenge for young people in particular to dedicate themselves to a noble calling and begin a new, spiritually revitalized, creative culture. You know, when it's darkest, the light can shine the brightest. So just as important as protecting our youth from destructive agendas is preparing them with a Christian worldview. That means teaching biblical principles as they apply not just to religion and relationships, but to government and law and entertainment and art and science and music and work and every aspect of life. What about training in churches? What about study groups in homes for young people? I was introduced to the term Christian worldview by the works of theologian Francis Schaeffer. I had the privilege of meeting Dr. Schaeffer in 1981 when he challenged a group of congressmen and their wives to live out Christianity, to lead others to live out Christianity, that faith on which the founders built America, or, he said, to see the demise of truth and morality and freedom itself. Well, that was 34 years ago. And he ended his presentation to us by quoting Revelation 3:2. Wake up. Strengthen those things that remain that are about to die. For I have not found your deeds complete in the sight of my God. Well, you're here, so that means you're awake. So now, let's go from here to awaken others and to strengthen and renew those things that remain. My husband, in his campaign for Congress and in his office, he had posted, he quoted time and time again in his campaign, and then he had posted in his office, 2 Chronicles 7:14. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven, and I will forgive their sin, and I will heal their land. God bless y'all.